Raymond, did you gavel us into order?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We are spread out kind of widely this afternoon, and we appreciate the ability to be able to join virtually and have folks in the audience as well. This is the December 3rd, 5th meeting of the Yakima School District Board of Directors. Barb, could you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett,
Present.
Director Walker,
Present.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Present.
Vice President Villanueva,
Here.
President Rice.
Here. Okay, we are being live streamed and recorded this afternoon. For those who are maybe live streaming with us, you know how to do that already, but for those in the audience who may be interested in live streaming in the future, you can find the link to the live stream of our meetings. We live stream all of our meetings, and the link is on the district's webpage, or you can go to the district's webpage and find it fast. Click on Find It Fast, and the link will be there. We are also recording for broadcast on our Facebook page, and that will be up on our Facebook page later on this week. So if you're interested in watching it again, or for those that are in the audience or are on the agenda, if you're interested in kind of copying that and saving it for posterity, you're welcome to do that as well. We will be having two opportunities for public comment later on in the meeting. The first one will be for items that are on the agenda, and the second one will be for any item that is not on the agenda, but that the public wishes to share with us. There's a sign-up sheet in the room, and those who are on live stream, there's an opportunity for you to join us as well. The process involved you signing in by 3:00 this afternoon, and then we will make a link available to you when the time is right. So without further ado, we have a special guest here today from Nob Hill Elementary. I'm being told we have 4, maybe. Principal Thomas, could you please introduce our special guest who will lead us in the pledge?
So we have some special visitors today. We have our student leadership team here tonight to lead us in the pledge and in the character word of the month. And Mr. Smith is their advisor, so I've asked him to please introduce our leadership team.
Wonderful.
Thank you. So we have our president, Noe Sandoval. We have our vice president, Jack Whitney. Then we have Sadie Gutierrez is our secretary, and then Declan DeWitt is our historian.
Historians have a very special job, don't they, Declan?
Yep, my job is to take pictures of the important events from assemblies to other random things.
Wonderful.
May everybody please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And could you share the character word of the month with us, please?
December character trait of the month is curious, marked by a desire to investigate and learn.
La palabra del mes es curioso, marcado por el deseo de investigar y aprender.
The trait is critical thinker and problem solver.
Característica es pensador crítico y solucionador de problemas.
Good job. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to let the rest of the board say a few words. Maybe they have a question for you, and maybe they would just like to thank you for being here on a very cold and snowy day. Graciela?
Hi, I'm Graciela. I want to thank you all for being here. You guys did a very good job and we're very proud of you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your school year.
Thank you, Graciela. Raymond?
Yes, Mr. President Noel and board members, thank you for being here today. I do appreciate you taking the time to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. It's awesome to see students as yourself taking on leadership positions and coming in and doing this. So we do appreciate your time here, and you do indeed represent the Yakima School District very well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Raymond. Norm?
I also would like to thank you for attending today and report to you. I had a chance to visit your school about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I was very impressed with what's happening in Nob Hill School and the climate there, and I'm sure you're a big part of that. I have one question for you. You mentioned that you're leaders. What does it mean to be a leader? In 3 or 4 words, what does it mean to you to be a leader?
It would mean to be a role model,
Be responsible.
to guide others in the right direction, and also to make sure that people understand what they're learning instead of just being like, oh, what's that? I think I learned it, but I don't know it that well.
I love those responses, and I hope that we as board members take those words to heart when we do our work as well. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Norm. Ryan?
Thank you, President Rice. And thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate you helping us out with the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. The one thing I want to tell you, and I don't know if you guys hear this often enough, but your school board is very, very proud of you and the work that you're doing in school every single day. And we want you to have a fabulous rest of the year. So thank you for being here and good luck for the rest of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. You're welcome to stay with us, but we understand if you need to get home or get on with other things in the rest of your day. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you, Principal Thomas and Assistant Principal Smith. And thanks to the families. Thank you to the parents who brought you here today. I know that the travel is not real great, and we appreciate your efforts. Next on the agenda is the Yakima Land Acknowledgement. Graciela has been asked to read that for us today.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Today, the schools of the Yakima School District rest on the ancestral lands of the 14 confederated tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation. The people of Yakima Nation inhabited more than 12 million acres across Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Franklin, Grant, Kittitas, Klickitat, and Yakima counties. Today, we honor those Native peoples who are tied to the land through history, legends, and culture. We acknowledge their descendants who live in the world today. We thank the caretakers of this land who have lived here and continue to live here since time immemorial. An acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way to show respect and a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase Indigenous peoples' history and culture. It also honors the truth. As a school district, we will continue to build upon our relations with the Yakima Nation.
Thank you, Graciela. Mr. Superintendent, I understand we have gifts to the board that you'd like to share.
Thank you, President Rice. That is the case. We have three donations. The first being for $1,336, which was donated to Davis High School to the library in order to purchase books for students enrolled in English classes. This is actually a donation that has become a yearly donation from Leona Connor Fund at Innovia Foundation. We're very grateful that that is a reoccurring donation. There's also a donation for $3,000 by Renee Green from Robertson Elementary to the district for needy families during the holidays. And that is followed by a grant for $27,500, which was donated to health services in order to support programs to increase pediatric COVID-19 access and confidence and uptake in communities to increase health equity. So we've had those three donations presented to the board, and we're very grateful for all three of those donations.
Thank you very much. Those are certainly generous gifts. And thanks to those who donated. Next on our agenda, we have a reorganization of the board. This is an event that occurs every December. Board members are elected to one of 3 or 4 positions, depending on what year it is. This is the year for our 4 positions to be elected. And the way this will work for those who are not familiar, I will call for nominations for first the president, and then the vice president, and then the legislative representative, and then the WIAA representative. And because we are scattered today, Barb has created a Google ballot that I believe has been sent to us. Correct, Barb?
Yes, I'm sending that right now.
Okay, so at the end of the nominations, check your email and fill out the ballot. And Barb, maybe you could share with us, is that going to a place where you can see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can see it.
And so then, once all the ballots have been returned from the board members, we will ask that, I will ask that Barb announce the winners of those positions. So the first position is for.
I have a point of order, President Rice.
Yes, sir.
According to our board policy for election of officers procedures, it specifies a roll call vote. So doing something on a Google ballot or an email like we did last year really doesn't satisfy our board procedure. Is there a way to get around that, or do we have the need to simply call for roll call so that we are in accordance with our procedures?
We could do a roll call vote. It will extend the time needed for each of these votes. But since the policy identifies a roll call vote, then that's what we'll do. Anything else?
No, thank you. Just a clarification. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, the first position of that's up for nomination is the position of president. Do we have anyone who wishes to make a nomination for the position of president?
Martha, I'd like to nominate Norm Walker.
Norm, do you accept?
I do, thank you.
Okay, Norm Walker has been nominated. Are there any other nominations?
I would nominate Raymond Navarro.
Okay. No, Raymond, do you accept?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Okay, nominations, I'm going to declare nominations closed. Would it be the board's pleasure to take the roll call at the end of each nomination or to make all nominations and then do the roll call for each position.
I'm comfortable either way, but I could just assume, why don't we just do each position?
I
Okay.
would agree with Norm, yeah.
Okay, we have nominations for Norm Walker and for Raymond Navarro as president. When Barb calls your name, please indicate your preference for who will lead us next year. Barb, could you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett,
Raymond Navarro.
Director Walker,
Norm Walker.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Myself.
Vice President Villanueva,
Norm Walker.
President Rice.
Norm Walker.
It's 3-2, and Norm Walker is president.
Congratulations, Norm.
Thank you. I hope to serve you well.
Next, we have a position of vice president. Is there anyone who wishes to make a nomination for the position of vice president?
I would like to nominate Graciela Villanueva.
Graciela, do you accept?
I do.
Thank you. Is there any other are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations?
It does not look like it.
Okay, I declare nominations closed. Graciela has been nominated for the position of vice president. Barb, could you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett,
I.
I guess, yeah. Okay. Director Navarro Jr.,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva,
Aye.
President Walker.
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva keeps her position.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We will open the nominations for the position of legislative representative. This is a 2-year position in alliance with the budgeting timeline for the legislature. I'm going to open the nominations for legislative representative.
I nominate Martha Rice.
And I accept. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations?
Does not appear so.
Okay, Barb, could you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett,
Aye.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva,
Aye.
President Walker.
Aye.
Director Rice will be the legislative rep.
Thank you all. And lastly, we will open the nominations for the position of WIAA representative. Are there any nominations?
I would nominate Ryan Beckett.
Ryan, do you accept?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any nominations?
I'll try again. I'll nominate Raymond Navarro.
Raymond, do you accept?
And I would decline at this time.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations?
It does not appear so.
Okay. Then I'm declaring the position for WIAA representative vacant, and we will hold a future election should anyone express an interest. Congratulations, President Walker. Because you are now president, you get to take over the meeting from here on out.
Okay, next item on our agenda is a report of the month regarding principal leadership and accountability from Hector Mendez and Dr. Ellis. Mr. Green, would you like to say any words of introduction?
Yes, I would. And then I'd also ask Dr. Rodriguez to say a few words, but I'll go first. It's very exciting for us to have the opportunity to prepare some reports for the board. And this one is of paramount importance in that one of the levers that we have is around principal supervision, but it's also around the importance of instructional leadership. So when we talk about principal supervision, it's working in tandem to assure that our principals have the necessary time and structure available to do the function of improving instruction. And that does not happen without principal leadership and accountability. And our two executive directors of leadership and accountability are Dr. Charlotte Ellis and Hector Mendez. Hector most recently coming out of the principalship himself at Barge Lincoln, where he was for a long amount of time and had a great influence over that building. So we're very grateful for the preparation that they've undertaken to get us to this point today, and for the important roles that they hold in working with our principals to provide the necessary support, direction, mentorship, and supervision for them to be the best that they can be, as we know that the impact that they have is important in a building, second only to that of a qualified teacher in the classroom. So to present them, I will pass the baton here to Dr. Rodriguez, who is our Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Dr. Green. I am very excited for our executive directors to be here this evening. You may recall last year we had a similar update in December, so we have really endeavored to make this an annual report for you because our school leadership is so important. Truly is the function of our central office is to support our school leaders so that they can do the day-to-day work of working with our teachers to ensure that every student every day is getting the best experience possible. So without any further ado, I'm happy to turn it over to Dr. Ellis and Mr. Mendez.
All right, thank you. Make sure you can hear me. Thank you, Dr. Green, Dr. Rodriguez. Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, members of the board and the rest of our superintendent and leadership team. Thank you for your time and allowing us to update you on the principal leadership and accountability. As was mentioned, my name is Hector Mendez, Principal Supervisor for Elementaries, and Dr. Charlotte Ellis, Secondary Principal Supervisor. We are the executive directors and of accountability for all building principals. Thank you for inviting us to share about our work with our building principals this evening. So as Dr. Green has previously mentioned and shared with the board, the Yakima School District is engaging in the work of central office transformation, which our role as principal supervisors is foundational. So what is central office transformation, you may ask? Well, to review, central office transformation is a set of research-based design ideas, and the Yakima School District is in year 2 partnership with the University of Washington, Washington District Leadership Design Lab, along with Dr. Meredith Honig and Dr. Lydia Rainey. So central office transformation involves teaching and learning, as well as human resources in transforming day-to-day operations to support the building principals. It also is principals are leading their own learning through individualized learning plans, along with Dr. Ellis and myself. We want to ensure that cultural responsiveness is integrated into core teaching and learning work. Lastly, the Yakima School District is supporting the work of principals to be the instructional leaders of their respected buildings. So why are principals central to central office transformation? As mentioned in a previous slide, the role of central office is a transformed district. In a transformed district is about supporting our principals to become those instructional leaders. They are central to our work as a district because principal leadership is second only to teacher quality in impacting student success in the classroom. Let me say that again. Principal leadership is second only to teacher quality in impacting student success in the classroom. So in short, leadership matters. Departments throughout the district are streamlining operational tasks to ensure our principals can focus on instruction. We know from research that principals need support and development to sustain this rigorous job. Turnover for principals is even higher than that of classroom teachers, which can be seen in the news a lot in the last decade. We also know that for principals to maintain their roles, retention is important, right? And we will share some updated data for you this evening as an update to last year's data that Dr. Rodriguez just mentioned. And in case you're not aware of the general statistics, 50% of teachers leave the teaching profession within the first 5 years. For principals, it's 1 in 5 that will remain in the same position in the first 5 years. So this job, our job, it's important to retain and grow our leaders. And why? Because leadership matters. So in order for us to do this, there has to be an if-then statement. In other words, a theory of action. So what is our theory of action? Our theory of action is that if, there's a capital letter, if we build systems of support for professional learning communities, induction, mentoring, and coaching, and principal supervision, our 3 levers, then this will result in positive outcomes in student learning. As you can see in that graphic there on the board or in front of you, everything begins with principal learning.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. So this graphic, I'm sure looks familiar as it represents how we as a system are going to achieve the goals outlined in our strategic plan. All of the work in the teaching and learning department is tied to the 3 key levers, and we use this visual when we are working with our principals to guide their leadership to ensure that we are remaining focused on the end goal of achieving high quality teaching and learning, which will result in academic success for our kiddos. Principals have a million different things happening at them every single day, so referencing this graphic allows them to remain grounded and focused in the right work. Principal supervision, as Mr. Mendez highlighted, is so critical to achieving high quality teaching and learning, we identified it as one of our 3 key levers. So what is instructional leadership focus when we use those words? Pictured here is the book written by Dr. Meredith Honing and Dr. Lydia Rainey, whom we've already mentioned. And our work as principal supervisors, as described in this text, is to lead the growth and development of our principals utilizing a teaching and learning approach. A teaching and learning approach means we foster learners' agency and we put them in the driver's seat of their own learning, which you'll hear more about in a bit from Mr. Mendez. It's also about modeling, talking through talk moves, and brokering support for our leaders. Ultimately, it is a very differentiated experience for each principal to get them what they need to develop their instructional skills. So what do we do throughout the day? We engage with our principals as their supervisors through strategic leadership moves, both individually and as a system as a whole. We have protected one-on-one meeting times with each principal where the conversations are centered on instructional leadership and the development of their individualized learning plans, which again, we'll share with you more in a little bit. This time is a critical component to the central office transformational work. Additionally, we dive into site-specific data while aligning their work to the AWSP state evaluation framework. As a professional learning community of principals, we also support their instructional leadership development through a series of job-embedded professional learning opportunities. So, it's really easy for us to sit and talk about the work that we do. We wanted to take an opportunity to actually show you the work that we do. So to help you have a clearer understanding of the difference between principal supervision before central office transformation and after central office transformation, we have a short video clip to share with you. Hey, Hector, how's it going?
Hey, Charlotte, good to see you. Okay, I'll be right with you, Megan. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, just checking in with you.
You know what? If you bear with me, I've got 5 people out. I've got some teachers, paras, and I can't find any subs. So if you just give me a moment,
Sure.
that'd be great.
Well, what can I help you with? How can I help?
You know what? If you wouldn't give me 1 sec, hold on. If you wouldn't mind calling Kim or Cindy Bixer to see if there's anyone in our district that's available to help
Okay,
cover, that'd
sure.
be great.
Sure, I can do
I
that.
appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, hold on.
Oh gosh, give me just a second. Mr. Mendez.
Yeah.
I'm in an IEP meeting and I've got staff asking if we're having indoor recess for snow is falling apparently.
Give me, Megan, I'll be right with you.
Hey, Kim, let me call you back.
I'll be right with you. Hold on. Oh, it is coming down.
Yes, the first snow.
Tell you what, yeah, I'm gonna call indoor recess. I'll make an announcement here shortly. Would you mind, I need your help. We're short-staffed. Would you mind covering kinder? Charlotte, would you mind covering 5th grade?
Yeah, no, I don't mind, but we were gonna talk about your PLCs today. That was on our list to talk about.
Right now, we're doing well with PLCs. The teams are doing a good job of meeting. We're getting together. We're reviewing and analyzing things. We're doing good. We're doing good.
So you're getting those PLC forms
We're
completed?
getting them done.
So
We're getting done.
would you say you're in compliance?
Give me 1 second. Yeah, we're in compliance. We're doing good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing well.
All right, well, I'll just check it off then, and
Okay.
then I'll go cover 5th grade. I know it's only November, so I'll come back in June and we'll just do your final
You
evaluation.
know what? That'd be great. We'll connect some other time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Thank you, Charlotte. Appreciate
All right,
it.
bye.
Thanks for holding on. Hey, thank you. I see 2 of you. Great. Thanks.
Principal
Charlotte,
Mendez, how are you today?
Well, yourself?
Good, good. Oh, I've been looking forward to our one-on-one.
Thanks for being here.
Of course,
Thanks for being
of
here.
course, of course. Let me pull up your individualized learning plan here. Fabulous. So last week when we met, we talked about how you wanted to focus on moving your building from engaging in PLC light to PLC right, really around the idea of teachers owning their data. How's that going?
It's getting better. It's getting better. I know that me owning the data, I need to change the narrative here in my building from this is my data to this is our data. It's important to me. Yeah.
So when we left last week, I had asked you to do some reflection about being the lead learner of your building and what you needed specifically, not your teachers, not everybody else, but what do you need, Principal Mendez, to really move your building in this direction?
Yeah.
So what did you share with me what you came up with?
So I'm really doing a better job of analyzing, interpreting the data, and synthesizing the data to come up with a plan. I know that when we have a strong plan in place, then results will happen, right? And so that's where I'm at right now. I really want to understand and get a better understanding so that way I can in turn help our teachers get a better understanding of how to read the data, analyze, interpret the data. So that way our students benefit from that too.
Absolutely, and you modeling that for your teachers really highlights the importance of being able to analyze that data at a deep level to move our kiddos.
Yeah,
right?
Agreed.
All right. So my wondering is, as I listen to you and I go over our notes from all of our one-on-ones, is there someone else in the district that you have been thinking about that you might want to partner with on your ILP goal?
You know, one person that comes to my mind is Principal Thomas, Knob Hill Elementary. Aaron Thomas has done a great job with really adapting to the effect size. I know her building is taking great steps to really focusing on those things that have a big effect size because those produce results. And so what I like to do is I like to connect with her and see what she's done to get to where she's at. That way I can replicate that. Yeah.
Well, that's a great plan. And I don't know if you know this, but over at Nob Hill, they have T-shirts that say, "Hey, ask us about our effect size."
I heard that. In fact, I actually saw that last year. She presented to the board, and they had their shirts on. Asked me what my effect size is. I thought, what a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to connect with her on that.
Fabulous,
Yeah.
fabulous. Would you like me to help with that process at all? Or are you comfortable reaching out to her?
No,
or
I'm good reaching out. I'll reach out to her. But what I would like though is when I gather that information from Principal Thomas and possibly Craig Smith as well, I'd like to gather that information and I'd like to start developing a PD for my own staff, replicating what she's done in Nob Hill. Why can't it happen here? And so what I'd like to do is when that happens, I'm going to invite you. I'd like to offer a PD and then a professional development, but I want some feedback. I need to grow as a learner, as a lead learner, but I want your feedback. And I know you always give out great feedback. And so that's where I want to grow. And so I'd appreciate it if you can attend.
Oh, fabulous. Yes, I would love to. I think it's really important that we're present and we watch our leaders in action, for sure.
So as soon as I get that, I'll send you an email, get you to come over. So
All
appreciate it.
All right, perfect. Well, our 90 minutes is about up here, Principal Mendez, and so I've captured our notes from our conversation into your individualized learning plan. So I know you have access to the Google Doc, so you can just jump in there and look back at it whenever you need. I did highlight a couple key actions that we're going to take. So again, make sure our conversations continue to be instructionally focused, and that is number one, that you're going to reach out to Erin Thomas and get some insight to how she's leading the work around data and effect size. And then once you have that PD developed, I'll be receiving an invitation and I'll come and do that. And prior to that, we'll kind of identify what specific feedback points you are looking for from me, so I can be really targeted in my response.
Okay,
as
I
well.
appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I can do for you today?
I appreciate the time. No, I appreciate it. It's been super helpful, so thank you.
Of course. I always look forward to our one-on-ones. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I do believe the first snow of the winter has started to fall outside, so but it seems like everything is under control here, so we'll chat soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Let me walk you out.
No administrators were injured filming that, so it was a safe zone. So as you heard in the video and as we've referenced, this term of ILP, or individualized learning plan. So we wanted to give you a peek into what we're actually referencing. The individualized learning plan is a specific leadership plan that each principal develops with their supervisor that is really focused on this central question of what do you need as the lead learner of your building to develop your instructional leadership. Principals are very good at identifying what everybody else needs, but we're not as good as stopping and reflecting on what we need to grow as a lead learner. So Hector, or Mr. Mendez, and I, we review their ILPs. At every meeting, we update and change as needed. And I'll give you a moment to read the ones on the slide. These are authentic. These are actual components of some of our school leaders' individualized learning plans.
So as you saw in the video, the focus is very different. We are investing in principal leadership at a significant level with both Dr. Ellis, myself, in these positions. And it is also designed to ensure not only that they grow, but that they remain in the leadership profession. We'd like to share with you our principal retention rate. This is what you're looking at is our 5-year turnover rate, and we are continuing to monitor the data. What's interesting is when you consider our turnover rate last year, it was due to promotions and a retirement after a very long career. This is very different than principals leaving the profession, right? It also highlights that 3 principals who were promoted to other roles within the organization. We have myself, Kim Newell, Nancy Smith, who's behind me. Those roles were filled by assistant principals from within the district. We're growing our own. So from an equity perspective, we know that the board is very interested in data. We all are. And we have captured that for you here. And we want to bring you to this evening disaggregated data around our school building leaders. So if you look at that, the first column, the next slide will look very similar in terms of columns. So it'll be principal, next column, assistant principal, all principals, and then YSD students. Yellow represents male, blue represents female. And as you can see on this slide, principals and assistant principals are about half male, half female, which another thing to recognize that this data really aligns with that last column, which is all of our students in the YSD. So we're pretty much 50-50 across the board. Additionally, the previous slide showed gender demographics. This slide displays ethnicity demographic data. When you do a breakdown based on ethnicity, we see that our building leadership is not a representative of our student body. So take a look at that slide. To help you out, that the key there on the right, the colors, the 7 colors correlate for that first column. I'll walk you through this so you can see this. The first column where it says principals, the blue represents white, right? So it's 83%. That teal, 2 or more races, which is 0% on the first column of principal. Hawaiian Pacific Islander is also 0%. Hispanic Latinx is 16, almost 17%, and then it keeps going down. If you just take a minute to look at the rest of the stats. So central office transformation is complex. It can often be messy at times, but to ensure that the changes we are making result in transformation, we conduct progress monitoring. So we're progress monitoring through individualized learning plans that Dr. Ellis referenced, as well as student data, tracking of time, focus on instructional leadership items, as well as conducting a survey that we're going to give mid-year and also end of year data points. And because we are teaching and learning teaching and learning organization, overall progress monitoring also encompasses student achievement data.
And finally, what we hope you are taking away from our presentation this evening is that our role as principal supervisors is all about adult learning. So we'd like to leave you with this quote: leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Leadership matters, instructional leadership matters, and I speak for both Mr. Mendez and I that we are blessed to get to work alongside the most dedicated and amazing principals, and we appreciate the YSD's foresight to be willing to make the needed changes to ensure the system does transform and for allowing us to be part of the process.
We thank you, Dr. Ellis, and I thank you for your time. What questions do you have?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I appreciate the demographic breakdown that you shared with us. And I especially appreciate the fact that we're seeing, since we're kind of growing our own, so to speak, as far with leadership, I appreciate that the indication is from the data that you shared with us is that we are expanding the percentages of people of color in our leadership at the district level. And then the question I have is in regards to the monitoring of growth of our principals. When you meet with them, do you go over their student improvement data?
Yes, so thank you for that question. Yes, we review their school improvement plans. We also take a look at the action steps that they have, so that way we can monitor just to get a sense of where they're at, because ultimately it always leads to student achievement, right? So it's very important that we do that. So we do that often, just to take a little dipstick of where they're at in terms of student growth. I don't know if you want to add to that, Dr. Ellis.
No, that was excellent, Mr. Mendez.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was curious if we have some trend data on the demographics of principals and assistant principals. I mean, are we increasing the numbers that are people of color or Hispanic origin or Hispanic language or some of those areas?
So that is a great question. I wonder that myself. I'd like to get HR involved in that, because that's going to be, I would like to believe, but I don't want to just say that there is a shift. I've seen it, but I don't know the exact numbers. But it'd be interesting to get that data. Yeah.
I also have a question. Agree with Martha. I appreciate seeing the demographic data. Representation is really important, and read a study somewhere that student outcomes increase when students are able to identify with their teachers and principals. And so I think it's an important metric to track. And special shout out for including Gender X as an option in the gender data. It's a new gender option that became available in the state of Washington for a number of different things. And so I appreciate that you included the option there. I have a question on the retention data and turnover rate. It's a 5-year rate. Do you have that data year to year so we can see that trend over time? And then the second part of my question is, is there industry standard data? Like what's the average turnover or retention rate of principals in Washington State or in school districts similar size or in communities similar size to ours?
In terms of year to year, I do not have that with us. This was a continuation of the data that Dr. Onsing collected for us last year while she was here. But if you are interested in that, we're happy to work with our partners in human resources and get that for you. In terms of principal turnover rates, the state average is 1 in 5. So 1 in 5 principals are not in the same position within 5 years. And that comes out of our state agency, AWSP.
And so does that mean that the retention rate is 20% for all principals in Washington State and the turnover rate is 80? Is that it?
On average, yes. It's higher in your comprehensive high schools.
Okay.
Simply because of the magnitude of the job of a comprehensive high school principal. We had been very fortunate. If you look at our retention rate, our middle school principals in the last 5 years, we have not had one except for the retirement last year. And as a former middle school principal, it's because it's the sweet spot. You get all of the beauty in the middle of their adolescent development.
Thank you. Yeah. I guess as a final comment, just want to thank you both for your presentation and the time you put into this, and really, kudos to the district for, if the retention rate is 20% and we're at 43% for the last 5 years. And then, same with the turnover rate, industry standard, 80%, and we're at 56%. That's certainly huge kudos to the district for creating systems to both recruit and retain principals to the district. So I appreciate all of the work that you do and the work that the district does to help stabilize that important workforce.
Thank you for allowing us to do this. It's an honor.
Yes, agreed. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, thanks again. It was a very informative report.
Just a closing comment in talking about the turnover rate. I would just want to let the board know that when we talk about turnover, principal turnover, it's actually even higher among Title I schools. So when you take that into account, our numbers, and I appreciate the celebratory comments of Director Villanueva, but if we were to think about all of our schools that are in Title I status, which is our district, if you were to factor that in, you would be even more impressed with the retention rate that we do have. And I would suspect that the rate would be even higher among those schools as far as turnover. So we'll look to bring that information to you as well about Title I schools. But I did want to let you know that that is typically a metrics that is difficult to fill when you have high poverty areas.
Thank you. And I'd also like to add, I think it gives hope. I think that we have these kinds of supports in place now for principals. I think that trend in turnover is probably going to drop when we have those kinds of things in place that support them. Okay, moving on in our agenda. Are there any reports from members of the board?
No reports, but President Walker had previously let ex-President Rice know that I needed to drop off of the meeting early. I have another engagement that I need to get to, so congratulations on being president, and I will see you all next time.
Thank you. We'll see you next time. Any other comments or questions or reports from board members? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to Dr. Green's update.
Try to be very brief today. We've had some snow days. I don't know if you've noticed. So this white stuff outside that causes some delays, always just a wonderful experience. It's not the same as when I was a kid, when I looked forward to those snow days and then what I would do during those snow days or delays. Now, every time it snows, we have quite elaborate system that allows for several employees to be up all night long, and there's a significant amount of work that our grounds crew and others do to make sure that our facilities can function. What I'd like to share with the board is that we've had two 2-hour delays in the past week, and thanks to our wonderful communications department, we have some information that I'd like to share with you around the communication of the first delay. We don't have the information on the second delay as that occurred today. But we had a poll, a questionnaire that went out that was completed by 471 individuals. And out of that 471, we had 437 that felt that they were very well informed about Wednesday's weather delay and do not need any modification to the next potential delay. So that tells that the communication is going out in an exceptional way. I'm looking at Kirsten Fitter right now. Very well done. Kirsten, thank you so much for communicating so well with our community. That does also mean that we had some people that weren't happy. We had some that felt that they were informed but would like modifications, including well, I'll share some of that. And that was 17 individuals felt like they would like more information, and we had 10 individuals that did not feel that they received clear messaging in a timely manner. So out of that 471, again, pointing out that 437 individuals were very pleased and asked for no modifications. In touching base with Barb Anderson, or Barb Fiscus, who helped man the phone line, she shared that the most asked questions were as follows, and I thought the board would be interested in this. One was, if there's a 2-hour delay, is that added on to the end of the day? And of course, the answer is no. We still have the same length of day, but it just ends at the same time. So it is altered by that 2 hours. So I guess it's not the same length of day. We just start later and end at the same time. Another question was just a simple callback saying, I missed a call from you. What was the call about? So that speaks well to us reaching out to every parent. And in speaking with Kirsten Fitterer today, she did affirm that we have a phone call going out to every parent, correct? As I look, yep, she's nodding. Okay. The next, the third question that comes up is, will my child still have breakfast? And the answer to that is yes, they will still have breakfast. And then the fourth question that comes up quite frequently, or at least did in this first 2-hour delay, was what time will the bus pick me up in the morning? And that was simply the addition of the 2 hours. It's going to be at the same minute of the hour, but it would be 2 hours delayed. So those are the four most frequently asked questions. Again, doing very well in communicating the status of the district during snow delays, and would also then just reaffirm that in my collaboration to make sure that we are working with our neighboring districts, there is a strand that starts quite early in the morning, around 4 o'clock in the morning, with the other superintendents to find out what the status is for their districts. Of course, we don't rely fully upon that. We have Art Rodriguez from our Director of Transportation, and in many cases, Anthony Murrieta are driving around town 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and making sure that they're giving the best advice to me in making that decision. And then I do reach out to the other superintendents and inform them of the decision. So I thought the board would find that of interest. If you have any questions around snow days and the way that we process those, please don't hesitate to ask. Aside from that, I don't have any other report for the board at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Green. At this time, we have on the agenda comments from the public on agenda items. Ms. Fiskus, do we have any requests today? Okay, moving on. Approval of new course equivalencies for career and technical education courses, or a course, Agricultural Mechanics 1 and 2. Who will be covering that item? Okay, Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, President Walker, members of the board. I'm here with you this evening to seek approval of a new course equivalency for CTE course Ag Mechanics 1 and 2. We are obligated for all equivalencies to bring them to the board for approval, and included in the board packet for you is a list of all of the equivalencies that we offer. This provides an opportunity for students to take elective courses that better align to their post-high school plans and still meet the rigorous Core 24 requirements required by the State Board of Education. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions from the board? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve new course equivalencies for Agricultural Mechanics 1 and 2?
So moved.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. Barb, would you like to call the roll? Or is there any discussion before we call the roll?
Director Beckett,
Aye.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
President Walker.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. And we now have our second opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone signed up for comment? Dr. Green, is there any need for executive session this evening?
There is no need for executive session this evening.
Are there any other comments or questions from our board members this evening? Okay. That said, then I announce this meeting adjourned.